Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So, welcome back to our Bhagavad Gita introduction essay thematic study, as well as the philosophical definitions and concepts. So, we have been quite for some time studying thematically the introduction essay to the Bhagavad Gita. I'm just recapping from the beginning. We began with the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita. Before that, we saw the Mangala Charan verses. The Mangala Charan verses we saw, and the concept of Mangala Charan is what we saw. And then, after the concept of Mangala Charan, we came to the first theme, that this is the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita. And because Gita is a Upanishads, what the Upanishads teach, the Panchanga Nyaya, Sambandha Abhidhaya Prayojan, the Tattvatraya, and the application of Sambandha Abhidhaya and Prayojan, we saw that. And then we completed the first theme, paragraphs 1 to 8, the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. Then we went into, because we have to accept based on Shastra, Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. How do we interpret and understand Shastra? We went into the concept of Tatparlingas. Tatparlingas, we spent quite a good time. And then the application of Tatparlinga also for a particular verse and particular book, that is Bhagavatam, we saw those. And then we went into the next theme, the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. That is from 9 to 12 verses. Paragraphs. And what is the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita? To deliver mankind from nescience. So we, in this context, saw that because we have to understand the Bhagavad Gita, so there are stages of education. One is the tripod balance in learning, that is Pranipata, Pariprashna, Sevaya. And then there is the three stages of education, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. And then there are four stages also. Sometimes the three are expanded into four, Aditi, Bodh, Acharan, and Prachara. And correlation between Panipat, Pariprashnan and the three stages also we saw. So that's how we completed the second theme, 9 to 12. And in the last class, we began with the third theme, paragraphs 13 to 26, which is one of the biggest, the five subjects of the Bhagavad Gita. So in the five subjects, we saw, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kal, and Karma. And basically, Prabhupada is speaking about Ishwar and Jiva. Ishwar is supreme controller, Jiva is controlled. He's predominator, it is predominated. So again, we brought out the concept of um, Panchanga Nyaya here, Samanda. So that's how we have been discussing about Ishwar and Jiva. And then Prabhupada also speaks about Prakriti. Prakriti is inferior energy. And Prabhupada quotes from the 7.4 and 5, we saw the Prakriti. And then Ishwar, Prakriti, Kal, and Karma are all explained in the Bhagavad Gita, out of which these four are eternal, whereas Karma is not eternal. The Karma manifestation might be from beginningless, Anadi, but it can come to an end. So that's where our discussion was over, you know. So now we are going to continue from where we had stopped, and we had stopped at this point here. We have to start from paragraph 18. Now, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kal, and Karma has been briefly discussed. And now Prabhupada elaborates more in detail about Ishvara. More in detail about Ishvara in paragraph 18. So I'm going to now go to paragraph 18. Okay. The position of Ishwar, the Supreme Lord, is that of supreme consciousness. So now, Ishwar is what? Supreme consciousness. Now, this is called as Vibhu Samvit, and it will come up in when we study the introduction essay to Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary. Samvit. With means to know, be conscious, to be aware, to be cognizant of. So he is cognizant of everything in the whole creation. We are not even cognizant of what is happening in our body. We are cognizant of the pains and pleasures of our own body, but the Lord is cognizant of pains and pleasures of all the bodies. So this is the position of Ishwar. The Jivas, the living being, part and parcel, is also conscious. So they are also having consciousness. But that is Anusamvit. It is Anusamvit. Both the living entity and material nature are explained as Prakriti, the energy of the Supreme Lord. But one of the two Jiva is conscious, the other Prakriti is not conscious. That is the difference. So the living entity and material nature, they are Prakriti. Both are Prakriti. You have to understand. But the Jiva Shakti is Para Prakriti. And the Bhairanga Shakti is a Parashakti. It's inferior. And what is the difference? Prabhupada says that this is conscious and this is not conscious. This is the difference. It is inert. There is no awareness of itself and its surroundings. So that is the difference. Therefore, the Jiva Prakriti is called superior because the Jiva has consciousness, which is similar to the Lord's. It is similar. Please remember, it is similar, not the same as the Lord, as supreme consciousness. It is similar. That's it. So it is called as aparam itastu anyam prakritim viddhim me param. Jiva Bhuta. The Jiva Bhuta is prakritim viddhim me param. It is prakriti, but it is superior prakriti. 7.5 in the Bhagavad Gita. So that's what Krishna also, 7.5, second line. You know, the Lord is supreme consciousness. However, one should not claim the Jiva, the living entity, is also supremely conscious. So now he's bringing out the difference between the Vibhu Samvit and the Anu Samvit. Sometimes it is called as Vibhu Chaitanya and Anu Chaitanya. Chaitanya means consciousness. So both terms are there, depends on the context. So Baldev Vidyabhushan uses this, so I'm just using this because awareness, knowledge of oneself and everything around it. So that's why Vibhu Chaitanya, Anu Chaitanya, or Vibhu Samvit or Anu Samvit. It depends on the context what you use. But here it is consciousness, so you can say Chaitanya also. Vibhu Chaitanya and Anu Chaitanya. His consciousness is spread everywhere in the creation. Ishavasam idam sarvam yatkin jagatyam jagat, like that. The living being cannot be supremely conscious at any stage of his perfection, and that theory that he can be so is a misleading theory. So, whose theory is that, ultimately the living being can be supremely conscious? Who propagated this theory? Anyone knows? Anyone? Yes, Subha Ikshan Krishna Prabhuji. I have unmuted you.
Prabhu, Mayavad philosophy?
Yeah, Mayavad philosophy. Ultimately, they think that, they will merge with the Brahman and become one with the Brahman, and they will be that Brahman. In one sense, they want to usurp the position of God. So, the living being, by constitution, he is a Anu Chaitanya. And Anu, when it attains perfection, of its Swarupa, it doesn't mean that it becomes Vibhu. No, by constitution only it is Anu. Conscious he may be, but he is not perfectly or supremely conscious. So he's not supremely conscious. Further, Prabhupada, the distinction between the Jiva and the Ishwar will be explained in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada goes now in the next paragraph to explain that this distinction between the Jiva, between the Vibhu Chaitanya and Anu Chaitanya is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is Kshetragya, conscious as a living being, but the living being is conscious of his particular body, whereas the Lord is conscious of all bodies. So where does Krishna speak about this in the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter? Anyone knows? Where does the Lord speak about this? Anyone knows? Bir Krish Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
I think 13.34.
Yes.
13.3
Kshetragyam
and 4.
api mam viddhi sarva kshetreshu bharasha. You know that I am also Kshetragya, but Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. That my consciousness is spread in all the bodies because I live in all the bodies. But the Jiva is, only conscious of his body. So there are two types of Kshetragya. Krishna explains about this Kshetragya principle, that is the Jiva, and there is a Kshetragya also who is the Paramatma. And he is Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Sarva Kshetreshu. That means he knows all the bodies. He's conscious of all the bodies. Because he lives in the heart of every living being, he is conscious of the psychic movements of the particular jivas. We should not forget this. So very beautiful. Because he lives as the Paramatma, he knows the psychic movements of the particular jivas. What you are thinking. So Prabhupada says we should not forget this. We should not forget that whatever we are thinking, whatever we are doing, whatever thoughts we have, whatever ideas we have, don't think that your Lord doesn't know. He can smell all your desires. He's sitting next to you. We should not forget this. Again, it has come here, but of course, there is only once it is there. It's not there in the Prabhupada. It doesn't mention it twice. It is also explained that the Paramatma, Supreme Personality of Godhead, because Krishna only expands as Paramatma in all the living entities, is living in everyone's heart as Ishvara, as the controller, and he is giving directions for the entity to act as he desires. Upadrishtacha, Anumantacha, Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara, Paramatmeti Chapyukto, Dehesmin Purusha Para. So this Paramatma, Dehe Asmin, he resides in the body and he's actually a Purusha and he's Para, he's transcendental. Whereas the Jiva is also called as Purusha, but he's Prakriti Stohi. In the previous verse 13, this is 13.23 in the Bhagavad Gita, but 13.22 brings out, Purusha Prakriti Stohi. Bhaunte prakritin jan gunan karana guna sangasya sad asad yoni janmasu. So that's how he's caught up in the sad asad yoni. So that is the position. He's conditioned and he's getting different bodies, but he's Purusha Para. The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes a determination to act in a certain way, and then he's entangled in the actions and reactions of his own karma. So the living entity, because he desires separately to enjoy from the Lord, he desires, and the Lord only sanctions it. Because without the Lord sanctioning, he cannot act. The action senses like the hands, the legs, the karmendrias cannot function without the Paramatma allowing them to function. But because the Lord has given sanction and Prakriti is executing it, the Lord is not held responsible. Because the Jiva desires, the Lord sanctions it. Ultimately, the Jiva will be held responsible. And the Jiva will become entangled in the actions and reactions of his own karma. So the Jiva will ultimately has to suffer the consequences. After giving up one type of body, he enters into another type of body as we take off and put on loads. Mamsansi jirnani yataviya. The soul thus transmigrates, he suffers the actions and reactions of his past activities. These activities can be changed when the living entity is in the mode of goodness, insanity, and understands what of sort of activity she should adopt. So ultimately, when one comes to the mode of goodness only, then he can adopt activities which are conducive for liberation and avoid activities which bind him or degrade him. Binding are rajasic activities and degrading are tamasic. Although they are binding, they deeper bind him to lower and lower modes and destinations. If he does so, then all the actions and reactions of his past activities can be changed. Ultimately, it is bhakti only, but bhakti should be practiced in the mode of goodness. And then all the sukrita and the dushkruta, aparadhas or anarthas or papa and punya will be all destroyed. You know. Consequently, karma is not eternal. Therefore, we have stated of the five items, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma, four are eternal, whereas karma is not eternal. Karma is not eternal. Now, Prabhupada is still speaking about Ishwar and Jiva also and Karma also. Now, Prabhupada further speaks about the Jiva only, sorry, the Ishwar only. The supreme conscious Ishwar is similar, the supreme conscious Ishwar is similar to the living entity in this way. Both the consciousness of the Lord and the living entity are transcendental. So, similarity is there in which the living entity and the Lord are transcendental. Para. Prakritim vidyame para. Means. Okay, yeah, I just also wanted to ask that as you have questions, each of the paragraphs you are discussing, you are free to raise your hands. Yes, Bir Krishnaji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Bhodan.
Yeah.
Prabhu, this mode of goodness, is it a prerequisite for performing bhakti also, or?
Well, bhakti, one can accept whether he is in Tama, Rajas, or Sattva. That is not a problem. But ultimately, having received bhakti, to make advancement, one should ultimately become free from the lower modes of Rajas and Tamas because they, act as an obstruction to the advancement in bhakti to actually come to higher stages. Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrata. To perform dridhavrata bhakti, ultimately this rajas and tamas will act as obstacles, you know. And
Hmm.
that is why ultimately one has to come to the mode of goodness. And only by coming to the mode of goodness, one can Sattvam yad Brahma Darshanam, that is conducive for Brahma Darshanam. Although Sattva cannot reveal the absolute truth, but Sattva is close to Shuddha Sattva. So it is in one sense harmonizable. Whereas Rajas and Tamas, Rajas is agitating, Tamas is obscuring. Whereas Rajas is, Sattva is like fire, you know. Fire which is used in the yagyas, they reveal, the revelation of the Vedas they are in one sense, yagyas. So similarly, uh, it will reveal the absolute truth. So in that way, sattva is very, very important in cultivation of bhakti also. Is that
And
clear, Guruji?
yes, Prabhu. And Prabhu, for coming to mode of goodness, we don't need to practice any other than, I mean, bhakti element. We don't need to practice any other limbs, no?
Yes, ultimately, those activities which are conducive within bhakti, which will take us to the mode of goodness, those activities like, eating sattvic prasad, foods which are in the mode of goodness. Prabhupada and Krishna analyzes the faith in the mode of goodness, the activities in the mode of goodness in the Bhagavad Gita in the 17th chapter, in the 18th chapter. So understanding all this, one should try to, practice those activities which are conducive for the development of the mode of goodness. Then the
Mhm.
advancement
So,
is swift. Okay.
so that's where the principle of anukulesya sankalpa pratikulesya was.
Yes, yes. So that is because it is anukul for bhakti and it
Right.
is favorable to Sharanagati principle.
Right.
We accept that. We accept that.
Thank
Otherwise,
you.
just cultivating the qualities of a Brahmana who is sattva, you know, uh, shama, dama, tapa, saucham, arjavam, all that. But if he doesn't have devotion, he's shat karma nipuna, then all his activities are shama eva kevalam. But because in bhakti, cleanliness, saucham, is conducive for my, remembrance of Krishna, that is why I practice it. Okay?
Right. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, one more question is there. Shubha Ikshana Krishna Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, in terms of mode of goodness,
Hmm.
is mode of goodness for Jnani, Yogi, and Bhakti or Bhakta are different levels, Prabhu, or they are like, how do we understand this?
Well, it's not that for a Jnani the mode is acting differently for a Bhakta and a Yogi. The degrees might be, different. But the Jnanis aim of cultivation of mode of goodness, although he might be following Shama and Dama or the yogi, but the bhaktas, you know, uh, aim aims are different. Aim is that this is for the pleasure of Krishna, this is conducive for liberation. But the more degree we cultivate goodness, yes, there is higher, higher, and higher elevation. That we have to understand.
Yes, Prabhu.
Clear, na? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we have finished these two paragraphs. Prabhupada in this next paragraph is also speaking about paragraph 20 about Ishwar. That both the Lord and the living entities consciousness is transcendental. That is the similarity. It is not that consciousness is generated by association matter. That is a mistaken idea. So here Prabhupada is refuting all these misconceptions, all the misconceptions. One is conception is, that consciousness is generated from matter. So this is dealt in Bhagavad Gita 2.26. And uh, consciousness, when, attained perfection, when it is attained perfection, we become supreme conscious, you know. So this all again Bhagavad Gita refutes this in 2.12. So all this, misconceptions Prabhupada is, clearing. The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. It's a mistaken idea. Consciousness must be pervertly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as light reflected through colored glass may appear to be a certain color, but consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected. So the jiva's consciousness coming in this material world with the desire to enjoy, it is now reflected pervertly. So the jiva is chitta. It's like pure light, the soul's consciousness. But with the subtle body and the coloring of the modes through the gross body, then this consciousness is perverted in seeing the world based on the modes. The Lord, who is Prabhu, he is also Chitta but supreme conscious. So there is no, such covering for the Lord. He is not materially affected, as the Mayavadis think also, you know. So his consciousness is transcendental, although he is in the material world. Ajopi sanyavyatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhishtaya sambhavami atma maya. So although he comes in this world, but he is Aja, and he comes in a spiritual body, Avyayatma. It doesn't mean that his consciousness is affected and he accepts the mode of goodness. Brahman, is all pervading Brahman. And when he comes in this creation, he accepts the mode of goodness in the form of avatars. This is the Mayavadi conception. So that's why Lord Krishna says, Maya Dakshina Prakriti. When he descends into material universe, his consciousness is not materially affected. So repeatedly, Prabhupada is hammering this because we are materially affected, and we also think that the Lord, when he comes in this world, also he is materially affected. If he were so affected, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matters as he does in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is one of the reasonings he's saying, that if he's also like us, like conditioned soul, then what's the point hearing Bhagavad Gita from him if he's not transcendental? Stop hearing the Bhagavad Gita. Don't comment on the Bhagavad Gita. So he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita, that means he is transcendentally situated. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from the materially contaminated consciousness. So the Lord is not materially contaminated. Our consciousness at the present, however, is materially contaminated. But we should understand that our consciousness is contaminated. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us that we have to purify this material contaminated consciousness. In pure consciousness, our actions will be devoted to the will of Ishwar, and that will make us happy. So right now, the Chitta, as I was mentioning, Chitta is the contaminated consciousness. Yeah. The Chitta is contaminated, and by engaging in Bhakti Yoga, there is the purified Chitta. Purified Chitta. And when we do activities which is having purified Chitta, then those activities are Bhakti Yoga in one sense. In one sense. This is pure Bhakti Yoga or Shuddha Bhakti. Okay. So how do you know that the Chit is purified? What is the symptom? Who will answer? How do you know whether the Chit is purified? How do you know that Chit is purified? What is the symptom? How can you say that the Chit is purified? Who will answer? How do you know that Chit is purified? Who will answer? Ashokatma Prabhuji. How is the Chit pure? How do you know that whether the Chit is purified? Yes, Bir Krish Prabhuji.
Prabhu, in that case, all our action by be it body, minds, or words, it will be Krishna centric only.
Yeah, that's the sign of a purified Chit. So how do you know that? That's what is my question. How can you
I mean,
understand that now my Chit is purified?
our center of consciousness, I mean, thought process will be Krishna centric only, bro. I mean, whatever uh, we
Yeah.
endeavor, whatever we think, it will be
Basically,
Krishna
simple
centric.
thing is to know that the consciousness is not attracted to Maya. It's only attracted, it flows only towards Krishna. Everything we see, we don't see it separate from Krishna in one
Yes.
sense. So that is purified chitta, you know. So this purification of the chitta is Chaito Darpan Marjanam, is the process of sadhana bhakti, or in one sense, yeah, in one sense you can say it is sadhana bhakti. It is not that we have to cease all activities, rather our activities have to be purified, and purified activities are called bhakti. See, I mentioned purified activities, purified chitta is bhakti yoga. Activities in bhakti appear to be ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. That is the difference. An ignorant person may see that a devotee is acting or working like an ordinary man, but such a person with a poor fund of knowledge does not know that the activities of a devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter. Because it is done for the pleasure of Lord, it is transcendental. They are transcendental to the modes of material nature. We should know, however, at this point, our consciousness is contaminated. So, mam cha vabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samititan brahma bhuyaya kalte. Ultimately, we have to transcend the modes. Then only our activities are purified. That's the point. When we are materially contaminated, we are called conditioned. Paragraph 21. False consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am the product of material nature. This is called false ego. So another way how to know that we are, our consciousness is not purified. Prabhupada is giving a hint. Who will answer? Let us see how much we have understood from this statement of Prabhupada. How do we know? Shubha Ikshana Krishna Prabhuji. Yes. Yes, Prabhuji, I have unmuted him.
Yeah, Prabhu, the kind of desires that we get, which is materially affected,
But just from Prabhupada's statement here, how do we understand whether we have contaminated consciousness?
we identify ourselves with the body.
We identify ourselves as a product of material nature. So as long as you are having this identification, till then we have to understand we are under the control of avidya, false ego. One who is absorbed in the thought of bodily conceptions cannot understand his situation. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to liberate one from the bodily conception of life, and Arjuna put himself in this position in order to receive this information from the Lord. It's not that Arjuna was in the bodily concept, he was put in that by the Lord's desire so that through him we can get enlightened. One must free himself from the bodily conception of life. That is a preliminary activity for a transcendentalist. One who wants to become free, who wants to become liberated, must first of all learn that he is not this material body. This basic fundamental requirement to understand Bhagavad Gita or to practice bhakti is a very high requirement. We have to understand we are not this body. We are not male or female. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul. So when Prabhupada was giving his lectures in the beginning in New York, Fifth Avenue, he was hammering this point. We are not this body. We are not this body. We are spirit soul. So one of the hippies who was initially coming, who was hearing Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, if I am not my body, then whose body am I? That means I am this body, but maybe I am somebody else's body. But I am this body. So this bodily consciousness is very, very deep rooted and it's not so easy to come out. Mukti, liberation means freedom from material consciousness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavatam, also the definition of liberation is given. Muktir hitva anyata rupam swarupena vyavastiti. Mukti means liberation from the contaminated consciousness of this water world and being situated in pure consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness. Jivera Sarup hoy Krishnera Nityadas. All the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita are intended to awaken this pure consciousness, and therefore we find at the last stage of the Gita's instruction that Krishna is asking whether he is now in purified consciousness. And what is that purified consciousness? To act as per the will of the Lord. You know? Karishye vachanam tava. That's what it says. That is purified consciousness. So it's very easy to know whether we are in purified consciousness. Three things now we have discussed. What are the three things? Who will answer? Let us see. Three things we have discussed about how do we realize we are in purified consciousness. What are the three things at least? Remember, raise your hands. Three things. Who will answer? Girish Prabhuji, Girish Kulkarni ji, are you there? Shubha Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhu, in which context? Like all the paragraphs or only in this
All the
paragraph?
paragraphs up to now we have discussed three reasons,
Okay.
main reasons Prabhupada is saying how do we know that we are not in purified consciousness, or what are the symptoms of one who is in purified consciousness.
Hmm.
One
So,
you just not told.
yes, but one is this false ego of bodily concept of life.
Life, yeah. Then
Yeah. And
here what is being mentioned
which one, Prabhu?
just now, which we discussed, what is it mentioned?
Material. Like we just discussed that that is a fundamental requirement to understand Bhagavad Gita, that we are not this
No, no,
body.
no, no. You have to stick to my question.
Mm-hmm.
So whether now is in purified consciousness, Arjuna,
Oh,
what is
that
the
last Vachanam Tava, last one, that the
so
instruction
what is the symptom of a purified consciousness?
to follow the instructions of the Lord or to
That
act
he acts
according to the
according to the
instruction.
will of Ishwar.
Yes.
And in the previous slide, I had discussed about another symptom of purified consciousness. What was that?
To come out of the bodily concept of life.
That already you mentioned there.
Yes. Okay. One more. Okay.
Basically, if we are in purified consciousness, then the consciousness doesn't go towards
Material desires.
material things.
Yes.
And activities in purified consciousness are bhakti. You know?
Yes.
So, like that, three symptoms here Prabhupada is mentioning. Three symptoms he is mentioning. So, we should understand. Prabhupada is speaking further about purified consciousness. Purified consciousness means acting according with the instructions of the Lord. Shubha Yikshan Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Repeat this statement.
Purified consciousness means acting in accordance with the instruction of the Lord.
So now, how do you know that you are in purified consciousness?
If all the activities of our life is as per the Guru Sadhu Shastra.
But see, don't go here and there. Just stick to the statement and answer me.
Mm-hmm. By following Bhagavad Gita, like in
No, here,
accordance.
here what Prabhupada is saying in the statement, you just stick to the statement, na?
Purified consciousness means acting in accordance with the instruction of the Lord. Purified consciousness acting in accordance with the instruction of the Lord. Yes.
So how do you know whether you're in purified consciousness?
We are acting in accordance with the instruction of the Lord.
Yes, very simple.
Yeah.
This is the problem with our devotees, they just go here and there, tangent, different vectors, because of the influence of the modes. Hmm. So now again, Shubha Ikshan Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
So That means you have to get instructions from the Lord.
Yes.
To get instructions from the Lord, your consciousness should be purified.
Purifying.
Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami
Buddhi yoga.
devantam. And because the spiritual master is the external manifestation of Paramatma, directly following his instruction is also
Acting in
purified consciousness.
accordance. Yes.
Purified consciousness. Okay?
Yes.
This is the whole sum and substance of purified consciousness. Very, very amazing statement. Hmm? This is the whole sum and substance of purified consciousness. Consciousness is already there, but because consciousness is already there because we are part and parcel of the world. But for us, there is affinity of being affected by the inferior modes. But the Lord, being supreme, is never affected. That is the difference between the Lord and the individual soul. So Prabhupada is bringing out, you know, so Prabhupada in this paragraphs spoke about the Bheda and the Abheda. One minute. So what is the Bheda? And what is the Abheda? One point you can tell, Shubha Ikshan Krish Prabhuji. What is the Bhed and the Abheda?
Prabhu, is it something related to like Lord doesn't get affected by the material consciousness and we as Jiva get Veda? Veda is in that context, Prabhu?
Okay, that is the Bheda. He is the
Hmm.
controller, we are controlled. Okay.
Yes.
Hmm. And he gets not doesn't get materially affected, we get materially affected. What is
Yes.
the Abheda?
Veda, we are always like eternally, Jiva and Ashwara are always eternally present.
Both are conscious.
Both are conscious.
So there is, the Bhed and Abheda there. But what the Mayavadis do is they only focus on the Abheda aspect. And the Bhed, the difference, they don't. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is Achintya Bheda Bhed. And although there are Upanishadic words, some speak about the Abheda concept, some speak about the Bheda concept, but we should understand there is always Bheda. So the Bhed has to be given more importance between the Jiva and the Lord. So Prabhupada has done that, in his essay, he has brought out that difference, Bheda. That is a difference. So ultimately it concludes like this, you know. So, okay, any questions you have now, he will bring up about Jiva. He has brought out the difference between Ishwar and Jiva. Now he'll speak more about Jiva. Yes. Shubha Ikshan Krishna Guji.
Prabhu, in this statement in this paragraph that purified consciousness means acting in according with the instruction of the Lord. So, Prabhu, like acting in accordance with the instruction of the Lord, can we also say like by following the instruction of the spiritual master is how we follow the
Yeah,
instruction of
that
the Lord?
already I mentioned. Na?
Hmm. In
I
the form of
mentioned.
spiritual master only, right? That understanding is correct.
Yes, but at a higher level, ultimately the Lord dictates from within.
Paramatma.
Hmm.
Yes, Prabhu.
At a higher level, and you're inspired to act as per the Lord's desire. This is the Lord's desire, and you act according to that. That is a very lofty level. Beginning
Yes.
stages, one should follow the dictations, not of the mind, but of the spiritual master. But to come to that point, also to follow and live a life completely following the dictations of the spiritual master is also a very high level of surrender. You have to understand that.
Yes.
It's not so easy. We are dictated by our nature. which is impelled by the modes, and we act according to our natures. Even in our service, we act according to our nature. We do
Yes.
services which are according to our nature, you know. So,
Conducive. Yes.
yes, we all see that. That is our conditioning. So, even to come to that point, even in sadhana stage, that's why I was mentioning sadhana, but I was a little, introspecting deeply that actually that's also not sadhana stage in one sense. But to come to that in the sadhana stage and that you live a life completely under the restrictions, dictations of the spiritual master, and you do only your life based on his instructions, that level of Sharanagati is beginning of sadhana bhakti in one sense. And then with that, your consciousness gets purified, and at higher levels of consciousness, you are dictated by the Lord from within only. So that is in the sadhya stage, like that. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Bir Krishnaji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu,
Yeah.
this purified consciousness of Jiva, can there be a case ki, uh, after purified consciousness, can it fall back again and become contaminated?
Chances are there, but generally at the higher stages of bhava and prema, it is not there.
Mm-hmm.
It is not there. Even what to speak of bhava and prema, even at nishta stage, once you come, na, then you have crossed the mountain, and now
Right.
no. So generally, it is not there. The falling happens because lack of shraddha. That means you have not entered into the point of Sarva Dharman Parityajya. So even
Yes.
in sadhana bhakti, there is no question of falling in one sense, we see. In one sense.
Mm-hmm.
So your falling means you still lack faith. That means you lack surrender. That means you have not entered into Shuddha Bhakti only, first thing. Are you
Yes.
getting this point?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Thank
generally, when you enter into sadhana bhakti also, there is no chance, because bhakti itself is being transcendental, conducted by the Sarup Shakti of the Lord, and that is ahetuki, avyavahita. Save pumsam paro dharma yato bhaktir adokshije ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidhiti. So that gives so much pleasure because you're doing all those activities for the pleasure of the Lord. So there's no question of attraction towards Maya. And at higher advanced stages, you know, the uh, because of the uh, imbuement, you're imbued with the Ladini Shakti of the Lord, or the Bhakti Shakti of the Lord, the Sandhini and the Samvit and the Ladini Shakti, then you are under the control of the Daivim Prakriti. Mahatmanastu Bham Partha, Daivim Prakriti Mashrita, Bhajanti Ananya Manaso, Gyatva Bhutadim Avim. So because you are under Daivim Prakriti, then Maya cannot touch you. But even
you.
in the
Right.
sadhana stage, because of the anarthas, the pull of the Bhairanga Shakti is there. But because Bhakti Devi is present in the heart, it will protect you. But those who have not yet developed that stage of faith, where they have come to the point of Sarva Dharman Parityajya, for them there is fall down because they have still doubts on Bhakti. So, like that, we have to understand. I hope it is clear, right?
Yes. 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 Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions we have? Okay. So, we have come up till paragraph 21. 22, Prabhupada speaks about now. What is this Anuchaitanya? He is again, he is speaking in sambandh with Ishwar and Jiva, and he has established that in few paragraphs. Now, he will come to this Jiva more. And although it's almost 1 hour now, we discuss usually 1.5 hour, but today I have to get ready for my travel. I have to get ready, so we will stop here. Today is it's only a 1 hour class. We will stop here and we'll continue our discussion tomorrow again. Tomorrow we'll have from same 6 to 7:30 only. So tomorrow we will finish this section and start with the next section. Of course, we will study Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary on the uh, introduction, the 5 topics he has given. His explanation is a little more philosophical, but Prabhupada keeps it very simple and also profound and deep. So tomorrow we'll see that also. So we'll stop here. It's almost 1 hour now, and we'll catch up again. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai.